Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on behalf of the International Services and Engagement Office, ISEO. A warm welcome to you. We're very excited to meet you this coming fall. Congratulations on your admission to UC San Diego. Today's topic for our webinar is applying for your US visa. Next slide, please. So my name is Marie Paz Rivera. I'm the Assistant Director for International Student Services here at the International Services and Engagement Office, ISEO. And I'll have my colleague Vanessa introduce themselves.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Vanessa, and I'm an International Student Advisor here at ICO. Welcome to UCSD. We're so happy to have you and are looking forward to supporting you through the visa application process today.
So just a few logistics before we begin. Please note that you're in listen-only mode. You can hear us, but we can't hear you. You'll be able to ask questions using the Q&A feature to submit your questions, and you can also contact us at icontact.ucsd.edu. And please note that we are recording these webinars, so you'll be able to visit these webinars recordings at inewstudentwebinars.ucsd.edu. So before we get going, I'll briefly go over the Zoom control panel you all have. If you'd like to submit a question, you may send it through the Q&A button on your control panel, and it will be sent privately to the presenters. And we will stay online about 15-20 minutes after the webinar to answer your questions. If we see a certain common question that comes up, we will read these out loud so that everyone can benefit. First, let's go over a brief introduction of ISEO, or the International Services and Engagement Office. We're here to support you throughout your time at UC San Diego. ISEO offers a number of different services, including pre-arrival support and orientation, such as the webinar you're attending today. We are also the office on campus that will support you in maintaining your status as an international student. To do so, we offer virtual and in-person advising, process immigration documents, and a number of other services. In addition to that, we also offer a number of programs and events to cultivate a globally engaged community here at UC San Diego. Our vision is to foster an inclusive and globally engaged university where all members of our international community have equitable opportunities to achieve your academic, personal, and professional goals to cultivate a culture of global citizenship. So now let's talk about the populations we serve. We are fortunate enough to have a very robust international community here at UC San Diego. We support over 10,000 international students that are both enrolled students as well as students who are seeking employment after their graduation. We also have over 2,000 international faculty and scholars who work here at UC San Diego or conducting research. And with these international students and scholars, we support over 1,000 international family members during their time here. So to do this work, we work collaboratively across the campus with a number of different partners to support our service population of just under 14,000. We are ranked number 8 as a leading institution for hosting international faculty and scholars, and number 15 for a leading institution for hosting international students. So let's take a moment to focus specifically on our international students. The group you'll be joining is dynamic. As you can see here, we have over 8,000 currently enrolled international students, which is pretty evenly split around 4,000 undergraduate and graduate students, respectively. You can see the most popular academic departments as well as their places of origin. And however, note, we have students coming from over 100 different countries, so you're joining a robust international community here at UC San Diego. So again, a warm welcome on behalf of ISEO. We recognize that the journey that brought you here may not have been an easy one, and we applaud your courage and resilience. We are so excited to have you join our UC San Diego community. We look forward to the many ways you will enrich our campus and the opportunities we'll have to learn from one another. We look forward to supporting you in the months before you arrive and can't wait to meet you once you get here. So now I'll go over a few first steps of your checklist to get started on your journey at UC San Diego. You'll want to log into your applicant portal and complete your enrollment checklist, including accepting your offer at admission and then completing the California residency for tuition purposes questionnaire. So you can find all the information on how to request your I-20 or DS 2019, and if you missed the last webinar, You can go to inewdegreestudent.ucsd.edu, and this is where you'll find all the information on the first steps to come to UC San Diego. And now I'll pass it off to my colleague, Vanessa.
Hi, good morning, everyone again. Next slide, please. All right, I have the pleasure of speaking with you today about applying for a U.S. visa for F and J1 students. Let's get started. Next slide. ISU divides the visa process into 6 steps. In our previous webinar just last week, we reviewed step 1 in the visa process, obtaining an I-20 or DS-2019 from ISCO. If you haven't seen it, you can catch it on iWebinars.ucsd.edu. You will need your I-20 for an F visa or your DS-2019 for a J visa before moving forward in the visa process. So be sure you watch the webinar or review our website prior to submitting to ensure you get a timely document. Next slide, please. As a reminder, you can request your new Admit I-20 or DS-2019 with iServices. All of this information is available to you at inewdegreestudent.ucsd.edu under Step 1. These are the written out instructions for you. Please lean on this resource heavily. Next slide, please. Today we will cover steps 2, 3, and 4 of the visa application process. These steps are distinctively different than step 1. For step 1, you requested your I-20 or DS-2019 from ISCO. For steps 2, 3, and 4, you are submitting a personal visa application with the U.S. federal government, specifically the State Department or the Department of State directly. The U.S. State Department runs and oversees all of the embassies and consulates around the world, the U.S. embassies and consulates around the world. While all U.S. embassies and consulates are under the State Department, they each operate with a certain level of autonomy. This is why throughout this presentation, you will hear ISCO and you will hear me say repeatedly, check with the embassy or consulate you are applying with. All that being said, it is critical to note that the university or ISCO cannot communicate with the State Department on your behalf regarding your personal visa application. This means that it is important to take personal responsibility and accountability for your visa application and prepare as robustly as you can. Again, all of the information we will review today for applying for the U.S. visa can be found at inewdegreestudent.ucsd.edu under Step 1. As you're with us today, focus as much as you can as understanding the big picture of the visa process. ISCO has done all the note-taking for you, and you can find it all here of the visa process. Scheduling the visa interview. There are 2 critical pieces to scheduling your visa appointment: submitting the DS-160 and paying the SEVIS I-901 fee. So you will submit the DS-160 online. It's a non-immigrant visa application. This will include the 185 visa fee, also referred to as the MRV fee. You can go to usembassy.gov and check your local U.S. embassy or consulate's website for specific instructions on applying for a non-immigrant visa like F or J, including payment instructions. It's really important that you prepare all required documents and information ahead of time per the instructions on the embassy or consulate's website. You want to make sure you have your passport and Form I-20 or DS-2019 with you when you begin this process. So that means that you're not submitting the DS-160 until you have your I-20 or DS-2019 from ISCO. And just as a heads up, this process takes approximately 1 to 2 hours to complete if you are prepared beforehand. We wanted to share some of the information on your I-20 or your DS-2019 that you'll need when you're submitting the DS-160. So you're going to need your SEVIS for the Form I-20. You'll need your SEVIS number. Here you can see on the screen that's on the top left. And for the DS 2019, you're going to also need your SEVIS number and your J1 program number. And those are highlighted on the document on the right and the upper right-hand corner. You also will need, for the Form I-20, you will need your field of study and zip code, which we have highlighted in the center. And for your Form DS 2019, you also need the field of study and zip code, which is also highlighted in the center of the screen. In the previous webinar, we touched on if you are in the process of changing your major, we suggest doing that before you receive or before you request your I-20 from ISCO. ISCO is not going to be able to give you an updated I-20 or DS 2019 until you've arrived here in the United States. So please be mindful of that while you're thinking about submitting for your documents and submitting the DS-160. You also need to have your school contact information. You can use the name of the advisor that's listed on your Form I-20 or DS 2019. You can also find this information, and that information, the name of the advisor, will be on page 1 of your Form I-20 and DS 2019 and the areas highlighted. You can also find this information at inewdegreestudent.ucsd.edu. Next slide, please. This is new as of last year. For the DS-160, you will also have mandatory social media vetting. Here on the right hand of the screen, you see a screenshot of what this looks like on the DS-160. ISCO's guidance is to provide all social media accounts, include URLs for each account in addition to usernames, and set all accounts to public. If you have specific questions about this, ISCO really recommends first just follow the instructions as they're listed on the DS-160. Please make it as simple for yourself as possible. If you have questions about if you should disclose something, if you should delete things, if you have any questions like that, we really ask you to work with an immigration attorney and perhaps somebody who is a former consular officer themselves. There are visa consulting agencies and there are certainly immigration attorneys that they are better versed to have this conversation with you. So we're able to share what you need to do, but other than following the instructions, we cannot consult on your application. So we can say that many of our students have made it through this process successfully. But if you have any doubts, do reach out to an immigration attorney. You will submit and print the confirmation page with the barcode. Please, please, please print this. You will be required to bring a printed copy to your visa interview. Following successful submission of your DS-160, you will be able to schedule your visa interview pending appointment availability. Next slide, please. If your visa interview is scheduled for after your program start date, this is a big question for many students, especially in countries that are very impacted or have impacted visa appointments, or for students who are in areas of the world who maybe the embassies or consulates are shut down. An expedited interview appointment may be available. You will have to follow the instructions for the embassy or consulate you are applying with. So it's really important to start the process as soon as possible, get your appointment as soon as possible. And then if that appointment is beyond your start date, to communicate with the embassy or consulate to ask what options are available for you to get an earlier start date. Unfortunately, ISCO cannot advocate on your behalf. A letter from ISCO is not needed because your program start date is listed on your I-20 or DS 2019. So for example, our fall start date this year is 9/21/26, so September 21st, 26. Let's say you book an appointment and that appointment is on October 1st. It is very clear to the consular officer or to the consulate when you say my appointment is after my program start date because it is the program start date that's on your document. So you can feel confident that the consulate or the embassy understands that. The second part of scheduling your visa appointment will be to pay the SEVIS I-901 fee. ISCO suggests that you pay this at least 3 business days before your visa interview. The I-901 SEVIS fee is required anytime you receive a new SEVIS ID number. That means you open up a new F or J record. The F1 fee is $350 and the J1 fee is currently $220. You will want to print the confirmation receipt page. You will be required to bring a printed copy to your visa interview, and you'll also want to keep it with your long-term immigration records. Some reminders for our students who are from Canada and Bermuda. You are not required to apply for a F1 or J1 visa stamp. However, you must still present a valid Form I-20 or DS 2019 to seek entry to the United States. So you still need to request that from us. And you still must pay the CVIS I-901 fee. For more information, please visit travel.state.gov and search Citizens of Canada and Bermuda. Okay, we're all done with step 2. That was a lot. Hang in there. We will now move on to step 3, attend visa interview. Next slide, please. Step 3 is to attend the visa interview. Many students focus on obtaining the I-20 as quickly as possible, and that is important. However, the most critical component to this entire process is obtaining your visa, which largely hinges on the visa interview process. Please do not underestimate the importance of the preparation you will personally take to prepare for the visa interview process. Some things to bring to your visa interview. These are standard. You will need to bring your passport, which must be valid for at least 6 months after your program start date. You will need to have your Form I-20 or DS 2019 printed and hand signed. You will need to have the DS 160 confirmation page with the barcode. And you need to have proof of payment of both the visa fee and the I-901 fee. You also need to have a passport photo if you were unable to upload it as a part of your DS 160. You need to have your proof of funding documentation. This should match what you submitted to ISEO to receive your certificate of eligibility, the I-20 or DS 2019. And you will also need to bring robust documentation of home country address, aka ties to your home country. Other documents may be required or recommended, as we had previously mentioned. While all U.S. embassies and consulates are under the umbrella of the State Department, they operate semi-autonomously. So do check the embassy or consulate's website for a complete list of documents you should bring. Have thoroughly reviewed your application prior to your scheduled visa interview. They already know your application history. That means something potentially including green card petitions previously filed with your name as an example. They also know any previous visa refusals, if any, and certainly they know about all previous visa applications. They know your DS-160 responses. They know whether you have family members in the United States, and they will likely know complications about your situation. You can assume your officer knows about an arrest or that run-in with customs or that school that you stopped attending. They're already aware. And then also your body language. They're able to analyze this quite quickly as soon as they see you. So this means you will want to be prepared to expand on what they already know about you and your application. If they know all of these things, then you're going to have to help them put more into context. Next slide, please. There are some additional things to consider. The visa interview goes really quickly. I think the average, I've been told, I am not a consular officer, but I hear on average it's about 3 minutes, so very quickly. It's very brief. You need to be brief and also maintain a very positive attitude. You should be prepared to speak. The consular officer expects to have a short conversation with you. As the previous slide demonstrated, they've already reviewed all of the documentation, so they really want to talk to you. Please be prepared to answer all questions in English, and be prepared to know the following information flawlessly: your program of study and its connection to your long-term career or life goals, your sources of funding, and your ties to your home country. If you attend, there are some immigration attorneys who do visa application webinars, and how they explain this is that you're telling a story. You're telling a story of really your hopes and your goals and your dreams, and how obtaining the visa will help you to complete that process. So you're putting together a complete story for the consular officer, and you want to be well prepared to explain that to them using your positive body language and your words. And finally, online presence. Visa officers can inquire about online activity, including but not limited to social media. Please be mindful of your digital presence to ensure it is compliant with all visa and immigration regulations. Also, with your social media, the consular officer is looking to see if what you are saying also matches your social media presence. So it's something with what they're currently charged with doing as well. A lot of students have questions like, how do I connect my program of study to my long-term career or life goals? Or how do I establish compelling ties to my home country? Because ISEO does not directly work with U.S. embassies and consulates, remember they are they are a department of the federal government. We cannot answer this question directly, but we can point you to available resources. One such resource is NAFSA's 10 points to remember when applying for a student visa. This resource is an excellent place to begin. This is also regularly updated, and the organization that provides this website is the biggest international higher education organization around the world. So they have a lot of contacts and a lot of people who are heavily invested in making sure this resource is very useful for you. So this is a great place. This is a great resource to review in preparation for the visa interview process. It is likely that you will encounter some variation of the question, why are you traveling to the US? Or where are you planning to study in the US? Remember, it is your responsibility to establish why you're qualified for the F or J, whichever you've applied for, visa. The first question, and the visa interview generally, is your opportunity to introduce your qualifications for the visa that you have applied for to your visa officer directly. Here are some things they want to hear from you. They want to hear that you are confident. They want to hear that you have a clear answer. And they really want to hear credibility. This means that your answers match your documents, your situation, and your intent. As a pro tip, I really recommend before your interview, practice your introduction as if you were explaining your situation and travel plans to a stranger who you have never met. Be comfortable answering variations of this question, but be careful not to memorize your answer. Use the wants, doesn't want from the above to guide, engage your practice. Of course, we all hope that everything in the visa interview process goes smoothly, and the visa application process goes smoothly, and that your visa will be approved and issued. But there are times when not everything goes as planned. The first potential visa delay is called administrative processing. Administrative processing occurs when a visa officer needs more time or information before making a decision on your application. If your application is placed in AP, you will typically receive a 221G letter indicating your visa is temporarily refused, pending further review. Unfortunately, this process is not transparent and can take several weeks to several months. What to expect? AP is a required security clearance by the U.S. State Department. Processing times vary and cannot be expedited. Please note that unfortunately, ISCO has no authority in influencing visa issuance if your application is placed in prolonged administrative processing. Your 221G notice may list additional documents or instructions. What should you do? You should submit the visa event reporting form in iServices. This is so that we can get a gauge on how many students are experiencing administrative processing. We won't provide direct resources, but it's a way for us to know and to be aware of what's happening. If you receive the 221G notice with a letter requesting documents, of course, you'll want to provide those requested documents. You'll follow the instructions on the 221G. If program details are required, you can request a support letter from your academic department. You will need to notify your college and department, inform them if delays might affect your arrival, and then be sure to check your case online. Track your status via the CEAC portal, which is the Consular Electronic Application Center. Please also plan travel carefully. Um, ISU generally advises that you don't book any kind of travel until you've obtained your I-20 and your visa stamp. If you choose to do that before you have the I-20 and visa stamp, then we strongly recommend that you buy flexible and refundable plane tickets. Please avoid finalizing travel until the visa is issued. Finally, due to delays, you might need to request an updated I-20 if you're unable to make it for the first term or terms that you plan to. Let's hope we don't get there, but we have this plan in place if you do unfortunately experience administrative processing. Finally, depending on how long the admin processing takes, sometimes it is necessary to get an immigration attorney to help move the process along. So, since summer 2025, U.S. consulates have now require expanded mandatory social media screening for nearly all F and J visa applications. This is on the DS-160. This unfortunately has resulted in more AP cases with the new screening. Again, applicants must list all social media platforms and usernames and URLs used in the past 5 years. Profiles must be public. Private or limited access accounts may trigger a prolonged administrative processing. Many applicants will receive an automatic temporary 221G letter for further review. Not all, though. This is U.S. Embassy consulate dependent. So some students get a 221G notice just because they're going through the social media vetting, which everyone has to go through now who's applying for an F or J visa. Others are not issued that letter and just are said, wait for further information. So it will be dependent on the embassy or consulate that you apply with. So officers are assessing the content in your social media for security concerns, for example, something like extremist support. Unfortunately, these reviews can cause significant visa delays, but anecdotally, we have not seen them to do that too much for our incoming class last year, and we hope it's the same for the incoming class this year. As much as you're able to, please ensure all of your DS-160 please ensure your DS-160 has disclosed all social media presence as required and indicated on the application, that your online profiles are complete, accurate, and publicly visible to avoid any delays. If you are concerned about social media vetting or have specific questions on what to disclose, or if you should delete things, again, we ask you to please speak to an immigration attorney prior to submitting the DS-160 and attending your visa interview. Finally, while visa denials are rare, they can happen. Usually denials under 214B are because the visa officer did not find strong ties to your home country and reasons to return, or your prior academic record makes the visa officer question the pursuit of a student visa. What I have mentioned is not exhaustive, but they point to a visa officer finding that your intended activities are inconsistent with the visa class you have applied for, a non-immigrant student visa, the F or the J. So the visa officer must believe that you are coming to the United States to study and that you have every intention of returning home. That is why the visa is called non-immigrant intent. After a denial, if you want to reapply, you must show credible, new, and compelling ties outside the United States and that your intended activities in the United States are consistent with the F or J visa categories. Phew, that was a lot again. Pat yourself on the back. Step 3 is complete. We move on to step 4. Next slide, please. Step 4 is to receive your visa stamp and plan your travel to the United States. Next slide. So details on obtaining your visa stamp. Your consular officer will collect your passport and in generally 1 to 2 weeks, produce and affix your visa stamp to your passport. You should ask the consular officer or the embassy or consulate how you can receive your passport back. if it's mail, or if there are pickup options. You now have the documents required to seek entry to the United States. Customs at the point of entry will require your passport valid for at least 6 months after your program start date, the Form I-20 or DS 2019 printed and hand signed, and the F1 or J1 visa stamp in your passport. Regarding booking your travel to the United States, again, echoing get your visa first. ISEO strongly recommends that you wait to purchase travel until after you receive your visa stamp. And in a slightly uncertain environment, we also just recommend booking flexible or refundable travel. Some things to keep in mind when booking your travel to the United States, there's something called the 30-day entry rule. For F and J1 students, this means you may enter the US no more than 30 days prior to the program start date listed on the Form I-20 or DS 2019. For new students, they may not enter more than 30 days prior. If you're a transfer student, that's a different topic, and we have a different webinar on that. F1 students, please look at the earliest admission date field on your I-20. It's highlighted in red on the screen towards the right. J students also must follow the 30-day, new J students must also follow the 30 days prior, the 30-day entry rule. Your program start date is on the DS 2019 in the highlighted box on the screen. This is where you can find. So you want to calculate backwards, whatever that date is. You can enter 30 days before that date for both the F and J visas. Something else to keep in mind when booking your travel to the United States is to plan for extra time at your first US point of entry. So for example, some students, depending on where they're coming from, students might first fly into San Francisco and then fly into San Diego. The first time you enter the United States, you need to plan for extra time. So if you're flying into San Francisco, you need to plan for extra time between your flight from San Francisco to San Diego. We recommend that you schedule 2 to 3 hours between connecting flights or when crossing a land border to allow for SEVA status verification at customs. Next slide, please. Congrats! Step 4 is done. So a brief recap of the visa process. Hang in there with me. We want to make sure you know where to find what information that we've covered because it's a lot. So last week we covered step 1 and today we covered step 2 and 3. These can be found at inewdegreestudent.ucsd.edu and specifically under step 1. We also covered step 4 today. This also can be found at inewdegreestudent.ucsd.edu, but this step is under step 2, prepare for your arrival to UC San Diego. And I will pass it back to Marie to let us know how we can be engaged here at UC San Diego.
Thanks so much, Vanessa, for that information. Okay, so now we'll go over some ways to get engaged here at UC San Diego and participate in some of the wonderful programs that we have here offered. So one of the things that we'd like to highlight is our welcome guide. ISEO has created a welcome guide filled with helpful checklists and interactive links. It provides you next steps to take before you start your classes, what to do before preparing for your arrival, and next steps upon your arrival. So you can find all this information in our welcome guide at the link provided. Thank you for Vanessa dropping the link. Our surf check guide coming to UC San Diego is another helpful guide. It's created for students by students covering the most frequently asked questions for international students, topics covered like housing, arranging transportation from the airport to campus, and setting up a phone account and bank account, and so much more. And you can find this information at the link for our surf check guide. So if you're interested, we have a great program called Global Ambassadors Program. It's a summer-long peer mentoring program designed to assist incoming international undergraduates in acclimating to a new environment and making a smooth transition into university life at UC San Diego. The program pairs incoming undergraduate students with current student mentors in order to encourage cross-cultural exchange and create a positive transition and adjustment process for incoming students. So many students who participate in GAP say it was one of the most helpful things in supporting their transition to UC San Diego, and you can find more information at the link. So here are some of our signature, next slide, please. Signature programs. You can find them at iprograms.ucsd.edu. We have monthly events. We have a global coffee hour. It's a very relaxed environment where you can meet other international students, scholars, ISEO team members, and some study abroad returnees. We have an English in Action conversation program if you'd like to practice your English in a relaxed setting. Triton Trekkers is where we partner with our Outback Adventures and where you can take trips for moonlight kayaking, hiking, rock climbing. Our International Student Advisory Council is another leadership opportunity where you can share about your international student experience and gain some leadership experience. And then we have monthly game night and crafting events that are a great way to socialize and meet other students and just relax and take a break from your studies. So our iEvents calendar has a lot of events that are not, it's live and it has events not hosted just only by ISEO, but also our campus partners and also student organizations that have a global focus. So many students often go to this website to see what events they might be interested in participating in during the week or for the weekend. If you're interested, please follow us on Instagram and you can learn more about the day in the life of an international student. We share updates, places and recommendations of where to grab coffee, best places to study on campus, where to catch a beautiful sunset since we live in beautiful San Diego, and hiking, so much more. So you can follow us here at our Instagram account. So some additional resources, we'll go over some important deadlines. Wanting to let you know about housing. Um, After you obtain your I-20 or DS 2019 and your visa, please note you do need to accept your offer and set up your Active Directory account. Third, you'll have to have your UCSD email in order to apply for your housing. You'll receive an email from housingcontracts@ucsd.edu for housing. And then in May and June is when is the deadline for the housing. July, you will need to submit your immunization requirements and complete your OPHD training. So you can find that at the studenthealth.ucsd.edu. And finally, in September, tuition is due. You'll move in, check in, and attend ISEO's new International Student Orientation, and we'll get to meet you. Okay, our next webinar is on April 9th for undergraduate student housing, student health and insurance and immunization requirements, April 16th, finances and student accounts, and April 21st, student life and getting involved, April 23rd, campus safety, and April 28th, getting set up in the US. So Surf Chat Live, hear from other students about what their recommendations are, and then May 5th, if you are currently in the US on an F1, transferring your CVIS record. Please note again, these webinars are being recorded and they're posted to inewstudentwebinars.ucsd.edu. So now we'll take some time. I see a few questions.
This is a great question. Is there a deadline or a recommended time to do each step? So ISEO does recommend submitting for your I-20 when you're prepared to do so. Currently, our office is unable to honor expedite requests, so submit it when you're ready. Our processing time is typically 15 business days, which is about 3 weeks once you've submitted a complete application. This will really depend on what embassy or consulate you're applying with. Unfortunately, there are a lot of embassies and consulates that are currently impacted by current events. So students, number one, are going to have to figure out, where do I apply for a visa when my embassy is shut where I'm at, or they're not open. So that's kind of step one. Essentially, we say get the process started as soon as possible. And you can think of your timeline backwards. So if you're a fall start, and you are undergraduate students, so most of you are fall start, your program start date is going to be September 21st, 2026. So you want to arrive to the United States August 21st, 2026. And that means that you want to have your visa in your hand by that time. So that means that you want to have your visa appointment, of course, far before August 21st. But what you also have to account for is the time that the visa officer takes for that social media vetting. So I would say getting the soonest visa appointment you can is a great idea, but you probably want to be having your visa interview mm, ideally a month before you're going to depart. So sometime in July, late July. That just gives you a lot of buffer time. Unfortunately, the embassies and consulates can be really unpredictable. Again, we talked about expedite requests if you end up getting an appointment. There are some countries that are very impacted as well. So if you end up getting an appointment that's after your program start date, you'll ask for the expedite requests. We have plenty of students who arrive on time that don't meet that timeline of planning backwards. It's just kind of a gauge for you. But yeah, I mean, it's as soon as you can is the guidance. So really good question. There's a question about when will I receive the I-20 form? There is some information on inewdegreestudent.ucsd.edu. We are processing I-20s in the order that they are received. Our typical business time processing time right now is 15 business days, so about 3 weeks. It can be impacted. It is the spring season, so there's a lot happening for our new admits who are hoping to arrive to UC San Diego, and of course our students who are graduating. So it's a very busy season for our office. There's no need to reach out or send emails. In fact, we often try to explain that that actually delays the process because instead of us just being able to work on those I-20s, we're kind of caught in explaining things. So please be patient. If there are any issues with your submission, then we will set it to incomplete and let you know what you need to fix. I'm going to share our website. So this is inewdegreestudents.ucsd.edu. The most common reason for delay for students who are waiting for their R20 or DS 2019 is simply that they haven't prepared for submission. Most commonly is the funding documentation. So you really have to know how much funding are you required to show, which is here. Whether you're an undergraduate student, here's the amount you have to show. And then you are responsible for knowing that what you're submitting is acceptable. If you're submitting personal funds from a checking or savings account, it needs to meet all of this criteria. If it does not meet this criteria, we will not accept it. So this is the biggest delay, and this can really prolong. You can think of this as if your application is set to incomplete because we need additional information or you need to correct information, you can think of yourself as getting out of line. And then when you resubmit, you get back into line. So before you submit, it is really critical to review all of the information prior to submission. We also provide really thorough instructions once you are able to log into iServices. We're able to provide really thorough instructions as you navigate the submission itself. Be patient, take your time, read the instructions. When I can tell, I know when students have really thoroughly reviewed the instructions because it's very fast for me to process their request. So we want to give you the I-20 or the DS 2019 as soon as we can, so make it as easy as possible for us. So good question. Let's see, I think that's it. I'll maybe wait 30 seconds for any other questions we might have.
Just an update as well. You will receive an email notification or when you're able to access iServices. There currently is a rollout with our Triton student system in which you'll need to set up your Active Directory, your UCSD email, everything to access iServices to request your I-20. So please be patient. That is coming soon. Once you can start now by getting ready and have all your documents prepared. So most importantly, we thank you for your patience and thank you for attending today's webinar. We hope to see you at future webinars and look forward to meeting you this coming fall. There's no other questions. We will close today's webinar. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care. Thank you.